What's up, YouTube? Stocks by the numbers. Welcome back. Today I wanted to take a look at a company that absolutely exploded here that me personally, I didn't hear much about. And I know this is one that we spoke about roughly 6 months ago, but hey, I look at a lot of companies. It's hard to try to keep track of everything, but not an excuse. Name of the company we're looking at, Microbot Medical Incorporated, ticker symbol MBOT, listed here on the NASDAQ. Stock closed 205, up almost 3/4 of a full point here, over 55% move here on the day. After hours down about 6% here. Chances are, in my opinion, anyone who got in recently down here at the 120s, the 130s, obviously, if you wake up and you see a 50+% move, I can appreciate the fact that there is some profit taking place. And, some people are taking the money and running and potentially moving on to the next situation. But this is where we first looked at the stock. It was all the way back here, June 20th, and $3 and change. As we see, we had the explosion, we dropped down, we were in like this upward channel, and we had that trend line drawn out. And I said, I might have mentioned it in the Discord, but I said that, again, we can either break up or we can break down out of that channel. As you see, it ended up rejecting and dropping down. We formed this symmetrical triangle, and I extended those lines here, and you can see that we broke and then shot back up and then broke down all the way to the low ones here, hitting 111 here, right around the time that the market began to reverse. And what happened today is over a 50% move, and that is because Microbot Medical says GLP preclinical study of Liberty Endovascular Robotic Surgical System met objectives, and the shares rise. And this whole time, again, we knew the landscape here. We knew this was a speculative, longer-term play, right? That was going to take some time. But at the time, we read also that they were entering these trials, right? And what did I say? Obviously, it's not rocket science. It's basically what we see with a lot of these other biotech and pharmaceutical stocks, right? Their drugs go into trial, and you basically just sit and wait and hope that it's more positive than negative, and then boom, you see a reaction in the stock, and all of a sudden now there's value there, right? Because that's what I mean. Even a startup company like this, who had no revenue, we have no previous financials here. What happens now is, obviously, if the positive data continues and more people basically agree that the whole robotic surgical technology is, extremely viable, and it could potentially replace human surgeons, right? And we could potentially eliminate that human error factor. That's why if everyone begins to slowly start to jump on board in the healthcare medical sector, then obviously this company is going to be off to the races. I mean, $2 a share. I mean, that's a joke here. Before I look at the technicals, I want to show you guys here. We're talking about a 10 million float, and we're talking about a market cap of only 24 million. So if this company is actually really about to do what it's going to do, and more positivity is going to potentially continue to come out, just adding to the whole long-term story of MBOT, this valuation here, 24 million, that's a joke, right? I'm sure you guys can agree. That's a joke. Look at a company like Intuitive Surgical. Look at how much money they make, how profitable they are. Right? Now translate that to robotics. And now this is the company that's doing it. And, they're only worth 24 million. You understand what I'm saying? So obviously we are potentially talking about years down the road still. However, if we 100x this number, we're talking about a $2.4 billion valuation. And we're talking about a $200+ stock. And again, even at that valuation, 2.4, 2.5 billion, we could potentially say that it would still be a conservative valuation and could become extremely still undervalued in the numbers based on how many, hospitals and surgical offices actually sign up for this technology. If it continues to prove itself, I'm saying, obviously, down the line, if it continues to impress and just kind of solidify itself again as just a viable potential replacement to human surgeons. That's what I mean. This could potentially be a very insane situation here. And we could, we that's what I mean. We could turn around, that's in my opinion, the company could easily 100x over the years. But that's just me. That's just my opinion. But, obviously with the stock down here at $1, $2, if that does happen to become the situation in the future, everyone's going to say the same thing. Holy crap, I remember seeing it down to $2, $3, now it's $170. This is insane. So, this is why, again, everyone wants to get in on the ground floor. However, with a situation like this, again, you needed to know that this was a very speculative situation, and still is. A very speculative situation. Remember, all they did was get some positive data. Now, granted, we're seeing a massive move in the stock, and that's basically what everyone was waiting for, like, this entire time, that this volume came in and everything like that. But obviously, it still needs to prove itself, right? We can't just turn on a robotic arm and have it go to work, and do a triple bypass. I mean, these studies it's going to be drawn out. It's going to be a slow and steady race, right? It's not going to be a sprint. It's going to be a marathon. Definitely with a situation like this. But looking at the technicals, I will say, we were in, again, the symmetrical triangle here, going back after it popped here in early summer, going through into July, August, and you can see we broke up, then we broke down, and now we broke back up. And what I did was I basically just extended these two trend lines here, and you can see that it's looking like around 2.5 could potentially be the next stop, right? This trend line here connecting this top to September 29th to the top of November 8th, because again, we had like that flash breakout here, so I don't know how much I want to trust that level. But here, in my opinion, this is where I drew the trend lines here. So, I would say, in my opinion, this looks like around the key level here that the stock needs to hold, in my opinion, around like 167, 166. And I think because if it does, like tomorrow, immediately come down and test that line, if it does happen to break that line in the next couple of days, we could potentially have a drop back down to, 1.25, and even this fib here at 114. But this was the big pop. This was when everyone was talking about it. And we can see that it slowly dropped all the way back down to the low ones. But again, it looks like it found its footing, it found its bottom. And then, of course, we had the positive data today. So I just wanted to show you guys like how and like where I drew out some of these trend lines. We could even do this, right? And I'm just showing you guys like how and where to do some of these things, or the way I do them, I should say. Not the way you should do them. This is the way I do them, but right, the low on that candle, see the top of the screen, low 125, so we get to 125 on the right side, and then we draw across, right? So you can say even that too is another key level that the stock needs to hold, right? So if it comes down and bounces around back here and breaks this line, then we know it has to hold there, like 154, 153, and if it breaks that, then we know next stop may be potentially that fib there, 144, right? So this is just one way of how I like to look at some of these stocks. And of course, this is straight technical analysis, but of course, I'm simply just drawing out trend lines, right? Because I know there are so many shorts and so many videos. Oh, you want to make 2,000% return? You use this indicator, blah, blah, blah. It's like, yeah, I know. Yeah. It's working so well, you're making millions. That's why you're sitting here, making a YouTube short telling us about it. All right. But anyway, so, I'm just showing you like how and where I draw some of these trend lines, just to kind of give you guys a generalized idea. And of course, some of these trend lines may not be extremely precise, to the T. And of course, like I said, that's what the comment section is for. If you draw your trend lines a little bit different, if you're using a different indicator, if you see, oh, it's, this level isn't 255, it should be like 243 is a key level we got to break through. Let everyone know down in the comment section. Seriously, let everyone know down in the comments section. And, these could just be multiple levels that everyone just keeps an eye on so that we know, okay, if it gets to this level, then the next stop could potentially be this level. If it breaks this level, I might have to look out. It might drop down another 10-20% from that level. So, work smarter, not harder. Don't work against each other. We'll say that. But here I have a couple of trend lines drawn out here. So this is going from the top of the body of the candle on December 27th of 2021. And you can see I connected basically down to the bodies in September of 22, which is basically connecting to the top there that we saw at the end of June in 23. So you can see that's why I feel, in my opinion, that is going to be a key level to watch around that 255 level. Oh no, wait, my apologies. My apologies. The 255 is the bottom of that symmetrical triangle. Yes, this coming across right here. I mean, if it does immediately jump up, we're looking at, yeah, like 266, 267. But I mean, it could potentially pop up here to the orange trend line here around the 250 level and then bounce and kind of chill out, right? And then come up and retest again. And now you'll see that, obviously the trend line is lower. So it'll be at, 246, 249, and then potentially break out. So obviously only time is going to tell, because I feel like these bottom trend lines here are the key levels, the ones that we have to watch. Because here in this situation, obviously, if we're hoping for bigger and better things, what we have to do is we have to make sure that it holds its support levels and bounces healthily off of them if it even attempts to retest, right? I mean, tomorrow the stock can easily jump up here and get to like $3. I mean, we really don't know what's going to happen here in this situation. However, we do know that from when we last looked at it and how it performed here, we see that like from like this 190 to kind of like this 215, like 218 level, right? Like that's the key level that the stock was really trying to hold on multiple occasions and ended up breaking through. So, it is quite interesting that the stock jumps up to 205, and as you see after hours here, 190. So that's what I mean. It's kind of holding like around this $2 valuation. So I'm very curious to see what happens in the next day or two and how it reacts here. This was the high from the same candle, December 27, 2021. I went from the high of the wick here instead of the high of the body, and I just connected it to the high of May 2022. And you can see this is this one that's cutting down at around $3 and change, connecting those two tops. And if we back out even further, you can see this is, December, right around this time 4 years ago, end of December 2019, connecting to end of December 2021, just the top of those wicks connecting down, extending that trend line down, and you can see we're looking at around 4.5. Now, of course, these prices are basically straight up above each other, right? So this, you can even see at the bottom of the screen here, where I put this point, this is the end of January, right? So this is obviously what could potentially happen inside of the next like 30 days. If it begins to pump up, I'm saying, right? These are just some of the trend line levels that, in my opinion, you should keep an eye on. But obviously, anything can happen. We know this. We have all learned this the hard way, I should say. But backing up, where was it? Yeah. So this, now remember, the company had multiple reverse stock splits in the past, so obviously, as you see, we're getting to some crazy valuations here. But this was basically the top. Yeah, I think it's going back here to like January of 09. And you can see it comes down. It touches those tops there in December of 10. And I believe it's connected to that top there, June 30th of 2014. You can see that candle sticking out. And boom. And obviously, now we're talking 27, 28, 20 plus, obviously, if it happens to explode here this year, right? As you see, I mean, this 30 plus, even this, like down here at 28, right? We're talking end of 24, potentially going into 25. And remember, that is 10, 15x where we currently are. And we're still only talking about a market cap of a couple of $100 million, even if we explode to that $30 mark. So that's why I'm saying this could, over the long term, potentially become a really explosive situation. And again, you can see that this was the absolute top, it looks like, that the stock hit before it started dropping down. And this was, looks like around March, early March of 2000. And you can see I connected it to those tops there, July 05. And I think potentially October of 05. And obviously, as you see, we're looking at, $900. So, this is what could potentially happen to some of these stocks if they're able to enact a reverse stock split, maintain their listing, but actually eventually down the road turn around the business or start finally generating revenue or start narrowing losses, and they're on the road now to becoming profitable, right? Now it's like the whole script flipped. And now, again, we're looking at a situation where the whole company, you're telling me, is worth 24 million, and there's only 10 million shares out there for grabs. So that's why this is a very, very interesting situation. And I know you guys were hyped about the situation. That's why a lot of you may have bought in at, 2.5, 3.25, right? And you've been holding this whole time like, holy crap, I should have sold it. What the heck's going on? Well, again, what's going on is you needed to know that this was a long-term, very speculative situation, and it technically still is. Anything can happen. Company could go out of business, stock could go to zero tomorrow, right? I want you to understand the risks involved. Used to say that to people on the phone all the time. So you need to know how speculative the situation is, right? And the whole time that you've been holding this, if you are involved, this is what you were waiting for. You were waiting for some positive data. Like, okay, they actually put it to the test. And it seems like, again, it met the objectives and it completed the task, so to speak. So that's why if there is only going to be more positivity coming out now on MBOT, then yes, something like 2.5, 306, 450, as crazy as it sounds, is a layup, in my opinion. That's a layup. Again, over the years, potentially down the road, if we 100x from here, we're talking about a $2.4 billion valuation. Again, even a 10x from here, you're looking at a $20 stock and you're talking about a market cap still below $250 million. Now, I understand, again, the company technically is only holding assets valued at like 8.8 million or something. But it's going to be the potential that I think Wall Street is going to reward here in this situation. Because if you're talking even a small percentage of hospitals that start to utilize this technology and actually put it to practice, I mean, I can't even imagine how much money this company could potentially stand to make. But of course, none of that means anything until we're actually in that situation and it happens. So this is why, again, this is good news. I'm glad they got some positive news here. I know a lot of people were pumped about it and hyped about it. And I just wanted to show you guys just a couple of the trend lines that I drew out on the tech side and like how and where I put them and where we could potentially see some movement here. But it does look like here, maybe around like this 160 level here, this 167 level. I think that's the key level to watch because, again, if it immediately reverses and drops back down, some of this good news could kind of just be kind of forgotten about or just, thrown in the back of the closet, right? And we may not come back to it for quite some time. So we have to see really what happens here. But let's look at stock charts quickly. We can see, obviously, the MACD spiked almost straight up. The stock absolutely exploded. The 200-day moving average, 186, broke out. Got closed at 205, got up to almost 2.25 there. RSI jumps up to almost 82. However, again, remember, this is a healthcare medical situation, and the whole time everyone was kind of waiting for this announcement. So that's why something like an RSI could potentially be ignored on the or coming off, the amount of how positive this positive catalyst is. If that made no sense, I apologize. Switching over here to the weekly, right? What are the chances? We can see the top Bollinger Band 225, stock hits 223, stops in its tracks, pulls back, closes at 205, 50-day moving average of 205. So now also 205 now appears to be a key level as well, because the stock could easily reject here in the immediate short term, could drop back down to 190, 180, 170, or tomorrow it could just pop back up and get to 2.25. And now it could potentially close above the 50-day moving average, right? So now everyone will be, oh, it's bullish, it's bullish. So that's why, that's why I'm saying we could potentially really start moving here. But this close right here at the moving average, as opposed to slightly below the moving average, if you're looking for more growth, in my opinion, this is a pretty good sign. RSI on the weekly only up to 56 and a quarter. That's why I'm saying the daily RSI might get out of whack. But technically, on the longer term side here, looking at the technicals, in my opinion, we could potentially see a little bit more movement. But again, the next 1, 2, 3 days are going to tell us more. I just saw that it had a big pop today, and they got some positive results from their trial. And I know that's what a lot of people were waiting for, so I just wanted to throw out a quick video. But again, like I said, if anyone who's following more closely this situation than I am, please inform myself and everyone else in the comment section below. Let them know about any news or updates I may have missed. You know, if some of these, again, some of these levels here to watch here on the upside and even on the downside, if they're off a little bit, if you're seeing different levels than I am, please do us a favor. Let everyone know down in the comment section. But I'm going to end it there. You know, very nice day here for MBOT. And again, I know a lot of people were watching it, so I'm happy for you guys. So once again, Stocks by the Numbers, I want to thank you guys for stopping by. If you have any questions, comments, or concerns, drop it down in the comments section. I'm usually very quick to reply. Thumbs up algorithm helps me get more eyes on the channel. Share the video. And of course, subscribe to the channel. That is our handshake agreement. I will do update videos like this. I recently did videos, you know, on brand name companies like Hershey that I thought was, you know, trading at a little bit of a discount. Looks like it's up maybe a point or two from my video. So, you know, obviously only time will tell. But, you know, I try to do overall analysis on some brand name stocks. I try to look at some smaller speculative plays like we have here with MBOT. I try to do updates when I can, when the stocks are on the move, or when you guys just haven't, you know, heard anything about the stock for a while. So you might want me to take a look at it and just give my opinion on it. You know, I'll do all of that for you guys. There's a Discord link in the description of every video, of course. You guys can come in, talk about stocks, talk about the weather, whatever you want. And I'll do all of that for you guys. Just do me a favor. Push the subscribe button. That is how you help me help you. But more importantly, moving forward, like I always say, I understand that markets are rocky and volatile and very uncertain. So I want to wish all of you success. I hope everyone makes a couple of dollars. Thanks for stopping by. Have a good day.